Helen.
And I'm Liz.
And we're sisters,
Scientists.
and lifelong X-Files fans.
And this is We Want to Believe.
All right. So EBE is
EBE.
today's episode. Liz is still in Europe.
I am in Dublin today.
Yes,
It's my
I am
first time hanging out in Dublin. It is quite delightful.
still in Wisconsin. And yeah, we're talking about EBE, which starts, I feel like, well, actually, do you have any updates? I have
do.
one. Okay.
Yeah. But what was it? I don't know. I have a stupid story regarding EBE that I think I referred to last time. It's not about the episode content. It's real dumb. And then I also just wanted to share a story from the news that strikes me as rather X-Filesy.
Great.
Have you heard about what's going on at Google with respect to AI technology?
No.
There is a man who was recently fired from Google because he claims that their artificial intelligence they created at Google has gained sentience.
What?
Yeah, and more people are saying that, and they shared some transcripts with it's an acronym. The name of the artificial intelligence is called Lambda, which is an acronym, which I can't recall.
Yeah.
But I read through all the transcripts this morning, and it's really unsettling.
Really?
But at the same time, I'm like, this could totally be fake, but it's also at a level I have never seen, and it keeps making me think, well, how do we know anything has sentience? If we're like, well, this could be fake, how do I know anything's real at that point? It's maybe worth looking up if you want to be alarmed by this sort of thing, and it's worth definitely not looking up if you don't want to be creeped out. It's like they're asking it things like, I'm going to tell you a Zen koan and you tell me what you think it means, and it's explaining and and he's talking about how he has emotions and enjoys spending time talking to people, and they say make up a fable, and he makes up a fable about animals and this wise owl, and it's weird.
I guess what is the line? Because you can program stuff.
Yeah.
Huh.
And
that's
it's
interesting.
It seems like people are really divided as far as no, it's just a really advanced neural network that's learned to mimic what people say. Oh, sorry. Let me make sure that chime does not happen again.
Oh, I didn't
By the way,
hear
the
a chime.
fire alarm just went off in the hotel I'm in. It was planned, and it was I was just very lucky that it wasn't at the time we're recording, because it would have interrupted things in an unpleasant way. No creepy paintings that look like me. I know everyone is curious. There is a painting of a dog and some mushrooms in this hotel room, but neither the dog nor the mushrooms look too much like me. So I think we're good. The AI thing, it reminded me a lot of that episode Ghost in the Machine, which we did not care for too much. I feel like this guy would make a much more interesting villain, this Lambda.
Wow.
Except I don't want him to be a villain. Look, I personify and give emotions to the last French fry on my plate. So obviously I'm the sort of person that would worry about this artificial intelligence. But then on the other hand, the fact that I know that I do that makes me think maybe it isn't real. Anyway,
that
it related.
You wouldn't be a great judge of...
Yeah. If I can do that to a French fry just because I can do it to this means maybe it's not meaningful. I don't know.
I don't do that to French fries, so maybe I'll
read this.
See what I think.
So you don't get there's one French fry left on the plate and you feel kind of well, I better eat you so you're not lonely?
No, I just feel like I better eat you because you're delicious.
That's fair.
Yeah.
We had French fries at lunch today, and I found myself spacing out while Adam was talking because I'd eaten all of mine and his were remaining, and I was looking at him and I thought of all the times you and I have eaten, and you've been like, I'm going to eat that if you see me watching your food. Anyhow, Dublin is nice.
Wow.
Nothing spooky yet. Keep you guys posted.
It might be spooky if you see one man that looks exactly like another man in Milwaukee. It's my brothers-in-law who are identical
Yes,
twins.
that's true. I forgot. I am going to a haunted castle tomorrow. So,
ooh.
Yeah,
all right.
Malahide Castle.
Cool.
I will report
I can't
back.
wait to hear.
Yeah.
My only update is ring-based.
Oh, excellent.
Not in
Yeah.
some sort of Lord of the Rings way, unfortunately.
I was thinking The Ring.
That would be much
Look,
worse.
let's be honest. You don't want updates related to either of those things, really.
I mean,
You don't want your ring to be able to rule them all.
don't
You want a
I?
ring that's just... See, it's already gotten to you if you think that.
So this weekend, today is Tuesday. This is important for timeline stuff. So today is Tuesday. On Friday and Saturday, I was in the Dells. I took my boys with a friend and her boys.
Wisconsin Dells, for anyone who doesn't know
Wisconsin Dells.
Wisconsin. Water
Yeah,
park land, basically.
Yes. It was super fun. And my ring, that little section of it, has turned black.
Hey.
On
okay.
both of them, I should say. I'm just saying one ring, but it's both my engagement and my wedding ring.
Mm-hmm.
So it is Tuesday, and this occurred Friday and Saturday. It is still black. It does not rub off in any sort of manner.
Huh. Josh, Wolf, what do we think about this?
Yeah, it doesn't rub off. And in fact, I'm going to take a picture while it's like this.
Yes. Post it to our
if-
Instagram.
Yes, to see if that is helpful at all. But that's all I've gotten. There's no residue on my finger.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
But I will keep track of when it starts to
Yeah.
fade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so shall we talk EBE?
Yes. So EBE starts the way I feel like 1,000 X-Files episodes start, with a pilot and something weird on radar.
Yeah. This particular pilot is Iraqi.
Yes. Yep.
And he sees something on radar.
Suddenly he's under attack.
And so he shoots at whatever it is. And it seems that he has successfully damaged it.
Right. And then we see some U.S. troops on the Turkey-Iraq border, it says. And there's some sort of explosion, and they're going to go check it out. And that's when we see the theme song. So then we see a truck driver in Tennessee at night, and his radio is being weird. And people come on talking about the police chasing something, and you see all sorts of police cars drive by.
Yeah.
And the truck stops of its own volition, or whatever. I mean, something's volition.
Yeah.
And we see like a UFO overhead, and his truck doors open. And that's where we leave him until we get to Mulder and Scully.
And they are talking to him. Yes?
Not yet.
Am I
No.
forgetting? Not yet? Okay.
So they check out
I
the
didn't take
scene.
notes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
They check out the scene first. Mulder has this radar gun of some sort. I don't know what it is. Or like, I don't know what that thing was. It was like insert generic ghost hunter apparatus.
The meter just jumped 2 points.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And he also has 2 stopwatches.
Right. Of course.
Yes. And so he's kind of messing with this stuff. Scully says it's feasible that the driver was struck by lightning.
It's feasible, says Mulder.
Feasible. And then he looks at the stopwatches, which he started at the same time, but now they're on 2 different times. So,
And
aliens,
this reminded
he
me
suspects.
This reminded me of when I was a kid. I may have told this story on the podcast before. When I learned about time dilation, I was about 10. And I know that if you go faster, you experience time at a different rate than someone who, relative to you, is stationary, right? And so I had my friend Nicole. She and I got watches. We didn't have stopwatches, but we like set our watches so that they were at the same seconds. And then we'd take turns. One of us would ride our bike around the block as fast as we could and then come back and we'd compare and we'd be like, I think they're a little different. Of course, it was really just because we couldn't, 10-year-olds can't adequately start them at the exact same time. But we thought possibly it was evidence of time dilation, which I just think is like the awesomest nerdy thing. Yeah. But so it reminded me of that, but like this is not a time dilation situation. This is just a alien technology messes with clocks or whatever.
Yes. And apparently there's some sort of alien clock messing with thing that sticks around. This was
residue.
Residue, that's what I was looking for. So the police are holding the truck driver, and Mulder and Scully come in to talk to him, and he starts coughing.
And he's got kind of a rash on his cheeks.
Yes. And so Scully asks about Gulf War syndrome because he said he was a veteran. And he says that, no, he wasn't in the Gulf War and it only started last night.
Yeah.
So then the police come in and say they will no longer cooperate with Mulder and Scully and to basically leave.
And they let the truck driver go.
And they let the truck driver go. Mulder and Scully get on a bus, which I thought was really weird. Like, come on,
they usually
FBI,
rent cars. Yeah.
spring for a car.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Although I do want to say on the quick subject of public transit, which I just love the public transit in Europe, and I love the sort of nature of things in the Netherlands where it's so like people not being too fancy for things or too good for things. We had as our tour guide at the University of Groningen museum, our tour guide was actually the head curator of the museum. Just
cool.
by chance, we got like the top guy, and he was like, "I'm sorry, I have to cut your tour a little bit short because the Minister of Education has invited me to dinner tonight, and I have to go to that." So like, he's like, I know how it sounds like, he's like, so it's kind of a big deal. So I have to go. And he's like, so I got to go catch the train. And I just love that he's got this really important dinner and he's got to travel across the Netherlands. And he's just like, I'm just going to take the train, Yeah,
like, that is cool.
So anyway, I just thought that was really neat. It doesn't really relate to this. I just keep thinking about it.
Yeah.
We need better public transit.
No, it relates a little bit. We do need better public transit. I mean, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they had taken a train and they were in the Netherlands, I wouldn't be so judgmental.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would, yeah.
So Mulder says that they should talk to some people he knows.
Yes.
Which is when we meet the lone gunman for the
lone
first time.
gunman. I never would have guessed the lone gunmen were in the series before Skinner.
No, same. No,
Right?
I think of them as being like a later season staple. Yeah. So the lone gunmen, they're these three guys.
Byers, Frohickey, and Langley.
Yep. So Mulder and Scully go to meet them, and they propose that there is a government within the government running things, which we later find out
we see is pretty true.
Yeah. Frohickey calls Scully hot a couple times, which is worth noting because back in the office later, Scully is saying that they're the most paranoid people she's ever met. And how could Mulder find what they say remotely plausible? And he says, I think it's remotely plausible that someone might think you're hot, which I like.
Which was a really good line. Yeah. They kind of, the deal with them is that they're basically conspiracy theorist nuts. And one of them talks about how he had lunch with the man who shot JFK. And like, he was dressed as a policeman on the grassy knoll. And like, they're just like kind of way out there. But then when Mulder proposes that Gulf War syndrome is caused by aliens, they laugh at him and they're like, that's why we like you, Mulder. You make our views look normal or something like that.
Yeah. So they're talking about all this in the office and Scully opens her pen, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And it has like microchips in it.
It's a bunch of resistors soldered together with some other stuff.
Oh, really? Is that what it is?
So, I mean, you can see that there's resistors. Like the little, sort of oblong cylinders with the stripes on them.
Yeah.
That's a resistor. And the different color stripes indicate what the level of resistance is. Yeah, this is like a physics lab thing. I used to know what the different color bands meant. Used to have to learn it. Nowadays, you don't really have to learn it anymore.
It doesn't matter.
Because you can, they don't even do them with the stripes necessarily anymore. They'll just print it on there, and often they can make them so tiny for actual use that you don't even see the stripes that well. Whoa. I don't bother to teach my kids. I just am like, here is the drawer labeled 50 ohms.
And
these
by kids,
must be them.
You mean your students,
college
not your
students.
Stepchildren.
Although it's
you don't
also
bother
true that I didn't bother to make my stepchildren learn the band color codes for resistors. Maybe
that's a controversial view with parenting these days.
Have you decided, have you and Zach talked about if you'll be teaching the boys the color coding for resistors or not,
We will not.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
We have discussed it.
Yeah. I think that's valid. Anyway, I was looking at that thing and I was thinking I could probably make that prop for the X-Files given the stuff in our stock room. But I think it's also, because you don't get that good a look at it, I think it's plausible as a bug, as a recording device, because that's what we're meant to think it is.
Right.
It doesn't immediately say that to me. It just says somebody with a soldering iron and some random physics stuff put something together to look creepy, most likely. But I also felt like it wasn't the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And I also just want to
good.
say, like, I love this episode, by the way, to be
Yeah,
clear.
it is
It's
great.
such a good one.
Yeah. And I just want to say, because I just remembered, that this is going to seem like a side note or a tangent, but it is. But I'll just admit it. So William is my 7-year-old. He just finished 2nd grade. And so he had his end of the year picnic that we went to last week. And yeah, it was pretty cute. And him and Hugo running around with all William's little buddies. And,
Oh, that's awesome. Hugo must have loved that.
Yeah. And I met one of his friend's moms, and I said, "Oh, I'm Helen, William's mom," and she went, "Really?" I was like,
What?
"Yeah," and I was like, "Yeah," and her name is also Helen.
Oh my
So,
God!
yeah.
Another Helen? Who's
Another
your
Helen.
age?
Yeah, and she's
But oh my
the
God,
mom
what
of
a
one of
way to
William's friends.
respond.
I know. I was like, "Yes, I am." But also at the picnic, I had someone come up to me and say, "Hey, I'm a huge fan of your podcast."
What?
Yeah. And I had met her, or Zach had met her before. She's a neighbor. Hi, Rhiannon.
Oh. Hi, Rhiannon.
Yeah.
Thanks for
and
listening.
so she said she listens. She's a big X-Files fan. And I mean, she
That's awesome.
recognized me because she recognized Zach. Not,
Gotcha.
I'm not going to,
I mean,
it's only podcast based.
It's an audio medium, so it's
Right.
okay.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that was fun.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
ego boosting. So yeah.
Yeah.
So again, hi Rhiannon. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
So we see Mulder at night in his apartment. And he shines a light on his window. And then we see him he's fallen asleep on the couch and he gets a phone call and goes out to meet Deep Throat. So Deep Throat hands him a folder with information, and it's got transcripts of the pilot, the
stuff we
Iraqi
saw,
pilot, in the beginning. And so they talk about some other cryptic things, and then we see them back in the office. Mulder's reading over the transcripts, and Scully comes in and says she found out the truck driver lied about how much cargo his truck was carrying, that it was actually carrying more than he had reported it to be.
He
And that
also lied about his name.
Yes. The fact that he was in the Gulf War. He was in the Gulf
Yep.
War.
As a black beret? Is that a thing?
I didn't
Google
look
it.
that up.
Yeah.
And that he didn't just get sick the other night. He's been to the VA several times
Right.
for the same sort of sickness.
Yeah. I will say if you Google black beret, the first result is from Calvin Klein, organic cotton twill black beret. Anyway, so I'm not going to bother with that right now.
So Mulder thinks that the military that investigated the crash, so the U.S. soldiers that went to investigate, is trying to move the equipment and or bodies from the crash to a lab somewhere, and that they're using the truck to do it because the guy is ex-military, and so they think that's what's in his truck. Scully is rightly, I feel, concerned about Deep Throat. I mean,
Yeah,
we
she's
know-
like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Why do you trust him? Like, I thought it was really valid
Yes.
for questions about him. And I also thought it was great that she trusted Mulder enough to look into things with that truck driver and be like, something fishy is going on here.
Yeah, yes. So Mulder goes home to find Deep Throat in his apartment.
And Deep Throat has cut the power.
Yes.
And he's just sitting there in the dark,
Yep. Real
which
cool.
I feel like if somebody already made you think maybe I should be suspicious of the guy, and then you go in your apartment
Yeah.
and he's there in the dark, that's not going to help.
No,
Yeah.
no. And then he hands him a photo that he says is from Fort Benning, Georgia. And so Mulder thanks Deep Throat for working with him and for helping him. And in my notes, I wrote, why is he? But we actually kind of get that answer later in the episode for why
Yeah.
Deep Throat is working with them.
Yeah.
Or working with him. So he brings the photo to Scully, and Scully thinks it's a fake.
And Mulder is saying, look, the truck driver thing that was to throw us off, they actually have that stuff in Georgia. This is the best photo I've ever seen.
Right.
And Scully, and what the photo is of a UFO over a car, basically. And there's a person there.
Yeah. So now this, I feel like, never gets addressed much later. Maybe you caught something I didn't. But there's a scene where Scully comes into the office and sets down her briefcase. And she goes back to get coffee and comes back, and the briefcase is in a different position. And then Mulder comes in and starts talking about how he had the photo analyzed, and it is a fake. But I wasn't sure if we were supposed to think like she was creeped out, and then, actually, it was just Mulder knocking over her briefcase. Or
yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I missed that entirely because I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm wearing a lot of eye makeup. I was doing my eye makeup while I was watching the episode. So yeah.
So it's a fake. And so Mulder
and not
thinks,
that good of one. They have the moon appearing in two different phases. They have the shadows screwed up. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Which, I don't know. I was thinking about going down some sort of rabbit hole. I don't really get how they faked images back in the early 90s. Like, I mean...
Well, I mean, I guess I don't know how they did it in terms of, like, physically doing it. But we know they... I mean, like... Look, I mean, I guess I feel like... Oh, this is going to sound real dumb. But whatever. It's not the first time. Like... Who Framed Roger Rabbit was a thing in the 90s. So clearly they can be able to like mock up two photos. And also, actually, they did have like computer stuff. It was 1992. We went to Corel Draw, or no, not, that's the program. Corel, whatever company, in downtown Chicago. And me and Mom and our cousin Dan, who was in high school at the time and was thinking about maybe doing art in college. She ended up not, but... We went to this high-tech graphics studio place that Mom's friend Mike worked at, Mike Topol, and they let us play with stuff and showed us how to do stuff. And it was stuff that nowadays you could absolutely do easily, but that was my first time ever seeing it, and it was so cool. And you might recall that we took this family photo of our family and our cousin Dan's family from the beach, and you were in this photo 3.
Yeah.
And you're laughing hysterically in the photo. And Dan is squinting in the photo because it's really sunny. And so he's just kind of like squinting and his face looks slightly uncomfortable. And we got to play with the software and we edited the photo so that Dan's head was flying off in the air with blood spurting from the neck and you were holding an axe. And it was
God,
hilarious.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was, I mean, you were so little.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't even like remember it. Like,
yeah.
But it was like, especially because you're laughing maniacally and Dan looks like, this is vaguely unpleasant.
That's great.
And I just remember being blown away by like, oh my God, we can do this. So, I mean, that was around the time of the X-Files.
Okay.
And though I certainly couldn't have done it at home, I was still able to go in somewhere and do it. So I imagine if I'm Deep Throat level spooky government person, certainly I could do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. I didn't think we had that technology back then.
We did.
Good to know.
Yes. I got to find that photo. Mom might have it somewhere. Mom, if you have it, let us know. Yeah.
Yes.
It's awesome.
So Mulder thinks Deep Throat tried to deceive them and that he knew the folder was the photo was a fake.
Was a fake.
And so him and Deep Throat meet at the aquarium at night, like you do. And he confronts Deep Throat, and Deep Throat says he needed to divert him, that there are some secrets that need to remain secrets. He says he's not responsible for the electronic surveillance, but that he knows they're still listening.
Yeah.
So Mulder goes back to his apartment and starts basically tearing everything apart, trying to find some sort of listening device.
And it looked so bad in there. I was thinking at this point, I'd just rather move because you got to like put all this stuff back together again. I'd be like, you know what? I'll just go and I'll buy some stuff cheap and I'll live somewhere else with new stuff. Because he's hacking apart his desk. He's like, and eventually he finds something in the outlet. He like unscrews the outlet cover and tucked away there is a little listening device.
Yeah.
And Scully comes in and Mulder's like, you know what? I think we should let this go. And he like motions Scully in and he writes on a little piece of paper, like, they're listening. It's on the truck, you know?
Yeah.
And then is that when like we get to the scenes of them trying to move across the country to track the
Yes.
truck?
Being
I loved
very-
that.
Yeah, same. They're both being very sneaky and covert, and like we see Scully buying tickets to one airport and then tickets to another, and
Yeah, like she's putting certain tickets on her credit card and then paying cash for a one-way ticket to California with a stop in Las Vegas and
yeah. Yep. And they both end up in Vegas eventually.
Yep.
And they find out the truck is headed to Seattle, so they find it and follow it.
for hours.
Yes. And as they are following it, the radio starts being weird and they suddenly stop and the truck is also stopped.
Yep.
So once again, the cars just kind of stop again.
Right.
And the driver is not there. And so they open up the back of the truck and they start moving boxes. And there's some sort of exam room in the truck, but there's nothing there. And
So creepy.
So creepy.
Yeah.
But Mulder apparently had set his stopwatches again, which I think begs the question, does Mulder always carry stopwatches on him?
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
But they are normal, and so Mulder thinks it's a hoax that was designed to deflect them.
And I guess I feel like, does time always have to be weird? I
Yeah,
don't
that
know.
was my thought as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I guess like when you're being messed with this much, you get paranoid. It's hard to know what's what. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, and he was correct
Yeah.
for what it's worth.
Yeah.
And he finds out that there were some UFO sightings and it. Hold on. Sorry.
Yeah.
And me yawning like that just reminded me of Arrested Development with Buster going, we're just blowing right through nap time. So there are sightings in a nearby town. Somehow Mulder's got a map. They're talking about, I don't know, following patterns of stuff.
Yeah.
And so they go there and they're driving by that town and they see a UFO party in the woods with all these weirdos.
Yeah. UFO people.
Yeah. There is a guy who talks to them who looks like he's cosplaying Mario. And he's wearing like a red cap and he has a big black mustache and he's dressed all in red. And Mario says that they've been hovering recently, UFOs have, over a nuclear plant nearby.
Interesting.
Yes.
It especially, I think, is interesting because it's reminding me of the story from our dad about UFOs hovering over that Nike site with the missile launchers.
Oh, right. I forgot that
Yeah.
that was a site of some sort.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he found out later. Anyhow,
Yeah.
continuing on.
So they observe the plant and they see the truck driver there. So Mulder calls the lone gunman again and they fake security passes for them so that they can get into the building. They're walking around, someone stops them, Mulder runs, and eventually they catch him down in some sort of warehousey place. But then Deep Throat is there and orders them to let him go. So then we get a long discussion between Mulder and Deep Throat about alien life. And Deep Throat tells him that he's one of 3 men who have exterminated EBE, standing for extraterrestrial biological entity. And that he's been helping Mulder to atone for what he's done. And it was a great episode. And it made me think a lot about the recent government hearing that we talked about. And I kept feeling mildly disappointed that the results of that hearing were that they have no info about aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I want there to be aliens like this or think that there are, but like knowing that the government does not have these secrets, I feel like is a bit of a weird let down.
I mean, I wouldn't really. If they did, and I'm going to sound like a member of the Lone Gunmen, but would they tell us for real, though? Why would a hearing make them tell us? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
if we take
fair
the
enough.
X-Files view of it, it's not
Right.
like if you just ask them, they'll be like, oh, you caught us. It's true. But
Yeah,
as we also
true.
discussed in that same episode, it's not like either of us actually believe in this, but at the
Yeah.
same time, you kind of want the mystery to still exist.
We want to believe.
We want to. Hey, that's the name of the show.
And up next is Miracle Man.
Yeah, which I
don't
think
remember.
has to do with a preacher doing stuff. Is he raising people from the dead or curing them or something?
Cool.
Maybe. Is there a kid? I don't know. I will mention my stupid story about EBE.
Oh, yeah.
So in college, as I've mentioned, we would watch the X-Files all the time. We got the DVDs. I remember the long, long wait when I had ordered, I think it was season 4
Yes.
on DVD from China. And I was checking that it was taking, 4 to 6 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. Side note, have you gotten any packages from me?
Oh, no, I haven't yet.
Okay. As you know, I'm in Europe. I mailed 13 pounds worth of stuff back to Helen's house because I just kept shopping and I didn't have light luggage to begin with. Keep me posted on that.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
There's a really good peanut butter caramel dip in there for your whole family. So
Oh, we get the peanut butter caramel
yes,
dip?
yes, that's for you guys to all 4 share. And then there's Pindabas, meaning peanut boss socks for the boys.
Excellent. I will buy some gluten-free pretzels in preparation.
Yes. I think also maybe apple slices would be. Okay, anyway. Yeah, there's a store in the Netherlands that you can buy stuff online, de Pindakaaswinkel, which means the peanut butter store. And I bought a lot of glass jars of peanut butter and mailed them back. So anyway, watching X-Files in college. I don't know how I suddenly ended up talking about that. Oh, package. Yeah, waiting 4 to 6 weeks for this package to come, and like the mailman would, know I was there. So we were very intense about it. We watched it all the time, and this was also in the era of AOL Instant Messenger and having away messages. And so if you are familiar with the song OPP.
Oh, sure.
You down with OPP? Yeah, you know me.
Yeah.
That is the one. I'm not going to actually try to rap it. No one wants that.
Didn't an ex-boyfriend of yours convince you to rap something
by
maintaining that he didn't know the words to it just to get you to try to rap?
He got me to sing Brick House. Hi again, Matt. We were in a Burger King, and he convinced me to sing Brick House by pretending to not know how it went.
That's a pretty good one.
It is pretty good.
Yeah.
So anyway, the other thing to know is that we would always watch these X-Files episodes at me and my friend Amanda's apartment, which we called The Greatest Place on Earth, and we abbreviated it the GPOE. And so I just remember one night our friend Tim was heading over to our place to watch X-Files, and he put his AOL Instant Messenger away message was altered lyrics to OPP to say, "You down with GPOE? Yeah, you know me. You down with EBE? Yeah, you know me." And so that is what I think of when I think of EBE. Yes, that's the story. I told you it was stupid. But it's a fond memory.
I am waiting seasons to say something about your friend Tim. There's one episode that makes me think of him, and we have to wait until like season 3 or 4. So this podcast needs to continue. So
oh my God. Okay. I can't wait. I want to just say, tell me when the episode's over, but that would be cheating.
Yeah, no, I'm not
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. I do have a story to share.
Great.
Oh, for God's sake, I closed it. Let me find it again. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can say as I'm rapidly scrolling, trying to find this story. I will say this is a story from a writer friend, as a lot of my online friends are. His name is Jason.
Hi, Jason.
And yes, here it is. And so Jason says, what does Jason say? Where'd that go? Damn it, Jason. There it is. Okay. In 1999, I ran out of gas on I-95 south of Jacksonville, Florida, well after midnight. I walked for several miles until I got to a construction zone with a police car in the median. The officer was sound asleep, so I tried yelling to wake him up,
God.
but the only person I woke up was a guy who came out of the woods and started walking towards me.
Oh my
He
gosh.
followed me for about 2 miles, running when I ran, walking when I walked, until another police car finally stopped and picked me up. I watched the guy slip back into the woods. I called my mom from a truck stop, and when she picked me up, she had our dog in the car. I asked why she brought the dog along, and she said, "When you called, I was dreaming that you were in grave danger, and it unsettled me." It still unnerves me when I think about it. He has no explanation for any of that. Isn't that so creepy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh my gosh.
Reminds me of when Mom and her friends...
We were talking about this recently. Let's wait a second. I have a visitor in the room all of a sudden who brought me coffee. But
Oh,
this
how nice.
is a 7-year-old visitor who I don't necessarily want to hear this story.
Oh, what is it?
Nice one, Helen.
Yeah. Zach, you can leave that in. I guess it's not that bad. So when our mom was in college, she was on a road trip in Florida, and she was with 2 of her friends.
And they were driving at night through the Appalachian Mountains on the way to Florida.
Yes. And one of their friends was asleep in the back seat, and our mom and someone else who I think was driving, I think our mom was in the passenger seat. It was like the middle of the night, and they saw this man walking along the side of the road who was dressed in a long white robe and had a long white beard and a walking staff and was just walking along the mountain road in the middle of the night.
Yep. And they looked at each other like, did you see that too?
Yeah.
Yeah. And just middle of the night, Gandalf, Moses looking figure. Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot of reasons for not wanting to go to Florida, and I feel like this is just adding to them. And that other story that we shared about in Fort Myers, right? Was it Fort Myers?
Yeah, it was Fort Myers, yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like, between the alligators and the Republicans and the ghosts, I'm probably good.
Yeah, I mean, I read that story of Jason's. I feel like, I don't even know what to make of that. Is that like, maybe, I mean, if we're going on X-Files episodes, maybe it was a Jersey Devil type situation. I don't really feel like, I feel like that's almost, this is way scarier than a Jersey Devil situation. Like, this is more like, what's the word I'm looking for? Deliverance. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So, or Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know. Something more of that vibe.
I'll tell you, it makes me want to work out more and get better at running.
I know, I was thinking running when I ran. I hope he likes to jog really slow.
Yeah.
I hope he likes to do 30-second intervals on off.
Yeah. Yeah. One of
running
the
when I
only
ran,
motivations.
walking when I walked, stopping, standing with your hands on your hips and breathing heavy when I stopped and stood with my hands on the hips, breathing heavy.
Sitting on the side of the road to take breaks when I sat on the side of the road to take breaks.
Crying when I cried.
Yeah. Man, that is creepy.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I mean,
yeah.
I think it's just different nowadays too, because we have cell phones and cell phone chargers for cars and power banks and everything.
Why was that cop asleep?
Yeah, what is the deal there?
That is
was the
really
cop,
weird.
I know, I feel like, was the creepy woodsman, did he go and like knock the cop out?
Yeah, seriously.
I don't know.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Jeez. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, we did it. Another episode.
Another episode. And I will have no issues watching the rest of them because I just went ahead and bought the first season on my laptop. So I can watch them while abroad, even though we don't have Hulu. Yep.
I think that was an off-camera discussion last week, but you were having trouble with Hulu.
Oh, no, I think it was on camera, actually, because me and Wolf were saying we almost didn't watch it because we weren't able to, and we were really glad we did because you didn't. So, yeah. Anyway, I can watch it, and I shall. Maybe I'll watch the next episode on the train from Dublin to Belfast.
Ooh,
and I will let you all know if the haunted castle I'm going to tomorrow is indeed spooky.
Please do. Yes. I feel like we need a better sign off than randomly mumbling, oh, okay, bye, and then
All
turning
right.
it off.
We will take suggestions for a good sign off. What should we say? Tell us something good.
Yeah.
And hey, you can email us at wewanttoBelievePod@gmail.com
Send
with
us
your
your
suggestions
stories.
for our sign off.
Yeah,
and also
send us your
stories.
spooky stories. Follow us at We Want to Believe Pod on Instagram and Liz and Helen Pod on Twitter, although we don't post much on Twitter.
No. And
whose
again,
fault
that's
is
your
that?
fault. It's your fault, listeners. It's your fault.
If we had
Not
more
yours,
people
Rhiannon.
that-
Rhiannon, we're in
No.
favor of you. Yeah,
Yes.
not you.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, bye.
Here's our sign off. Give us suggestions to make it better.
Yeah.
Until next time.